It's Tuesday. That means it's time for another episode of the Bench Doctor. Tonight he's doing something at my request, uh, and he's going to do something with a Lee Enfield. I don't remember which model, which version. He'll tell us about that in a second. We are indeed streaming on, or hopefully we're streaming on Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, our Facebook Members Lounge, and if you're watching us from the Discord server, you're watching us on one of those streams. If you have questions, the best way to get them answered is to register for the meeting and come to the Zoom and ask them in the Zoom chat. If you do have questions in the Zoom chat, just drop them in the chat and Lonnie will pick them up and ask them at an appropriate time. And we will try to get to all the questions as we can. I'll be paying attention to the Discord server live stream chat in case there are questions there. Otherwise, it's likely that we won't get to your questions if you're asking them on Facebook or Twitter or Twitch until after the stream when we come back in. So again, the best way to get your questions answered is to ask them in the Zoom chat, and that means registering for the event. I usually ask Danny if I missed anything. I don't think I did. So I think I'm going to turn it over to Scott, who's going to talk to us about the short magazine Lee Enfield. Which model tonight?
All right. This is the number 4 Mark 1 Lee Enfield. This one is a Lend-Lease rifle. So it was made by Savage here in the U.S. and in air quotes, lent to the British. So, and then it somehow many, 50 years later, it worked its way back to the U.S. Via South Africa because it's got some South African proof marks on it. So I would guess it went from England to South Africa and then somehow made its way back here. But this was the most common rifle that the British used during World War II. It's a variant of the same rifle they used in World War I. There's a few differences, but it's pretty much the same thing. If you have worked on one, you could easily work on the Mark IV. There's nothing particularly odd about it. So this is, this was a US made. You can tell because right here, let's see if I can get it to show up. There's a S right there on the, let me get a pointer right here. There's an S. And that S is stamped into a lot of different parts on the gun. The model number is right up here, and it's in the barrel number 4 Mark 1, and then it has an asterisk. So I can't remember what the asterisk means. Some have it, some don't. But anyway, this is your safety right here. You'll notice the gun is empty. I'm going to go ahead and dump the mag. Sorry for the wobbly table. I am camping today. I'm out in Estacada, Oregon, camping at a state park. So I'm doing this from my travel trailer. So it's a little bit weird. All right. So I took the magazine out. You can see the mag well is empty. Chamber is empty right here. So we're starting with a clear gun. To get the magazine out, you have this little latch right here in the trigger guard. So you press up on it and then pull the magazine out. It doesn't drop free like modern weapons do. So once we've got the gun cleared, usually the first thing I do is I take the bolt out of it. So to do that, on the Mark or the number 4, you align the bolt with, there's a little notch right here in the receiver. So you align this tab on the bolt with that notch and then just flip it up. And then from here, I have to open this ladder sight. I have to lift it up like that. And then the bolt just slides right out. Now, some guns didn't come with this ladder sight on it. They had a regular, like a peep sight. I think the earlier production ones had this, and then they got rid of it for cost and production reasons, but this one goes up to something ridiculous like 1,300 meters. It's pretty funny. It's got a little peep right here that you look through once you get it set to your yardage. Let's see. And so that's how you get the bolt out of one. Now the bolt is pretty simple. It's kind of like a Mauser bolt. You know, it comes apart very similarly, except on the Enfield, the way that they take care of headspace issues is they replace this bolt head right here, and they're numbered, I think, 1 through 5. And so if you have headspace issues, you would just get the next bolt head up. So if it was a 1, you'd get a 2. But that's what it looks like right here. And then this is your extractor. And I'm not going to take this apart because there's some little bitty springs in there. Normally on my bench, I'd be able to find them when they shot into space, but in my trailer, I'm not sure it's a really good idea. So that's what the bolt head looks like. This is your firing pin. Comes down through here. And then this breaks down similar to a Mauser bolt if you've ever taken a Mauser bolt apart. So, and these bolts are very, very smooth to operate. This is a really nice rifle to shoot. I mean, it was a little bit obsolete by the time the Brits used it because we were using the Garand, but still performed very, very well. And they could fire them pretty quickly. If you look up the Mad Minute, guys were able to fire crazy amounts of ammo. There's, I don't know if it's an old wives' tale or how true it was, but there were rumors that the Germans at times thought that the British were shooting machine guns because they could fire these things so quickly. I don't know how true that is, but anyway, once you have the bolt out, so I'm approaching this as if you just bought one of these things. When I got it, it was covered in Cosmoline. So I had to basically disassemble the rifle to clean that stuff out. And so that's kind of how I'm approaching taking this gun apart. This is what I had to do. So we're going to start up at this end, and I'm going to take this barrel band off, and it's just a simple screw down here, right there. So I'm just going to loosen that. And sometimes these can be real fun to put back on. And then I'm going to take the front sight hood off. Like so. This may be where I use the hammer. So there's your front sight hood. And this barrel band slides right off. Need to get it a little bit further apart here. Let's see here. This is supposed to just slip off. Hold on. Sorry, I know I'm out of frame here, but I'm trying to work this thing. I don't have a lot of room.
It's a lovely blanket.
Yeah, sorry. It's just I'm trying to hold this with one hand and work this barrel band off. It's not easy. All right, let's get that out of there.
We interrupted this program with the beautiful white blanket. There we go.
Yeah, I'm on this small dinette table in my trailer. I'm going to take this loose, slide this out of my way. Yeah, I need to get this damn hood off, but come on. Why is let's see. Why is this one not coming off? Anyway, I'm not sure why this one is being stubborn today.
There's the hammer.
There it is. It's hammer time. Oh, come
Has it
on.
been humid? Is everything all swollen up?
What's that?
Has it been humid? Is the wood all swollen up?
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty humid here. Let's see here. Maybe I can tap it this way. Get the wood out this way. Get this band out of my way. These are really. Ed's got. You've got the same gun, don't you, Ed?
I do.
The
I
number
do have a number 4 Mark 1. Mine is the wood on it is not nearly as new looking.
Yeah.
Mine is I assume a British manufacturer, circa 1942.
Yeah.
That dark, what is that, ironwood or whatever that is? The real.
I don't know. They use like walnut and I don't know what else. I'm not sure what wood this is. But when I got it, it was just caked in cosmoline. So I cleaned it off as well as I could with like acetone. And then I took brown paper bags and laid it over the wood and then just took an iron and ironed the brown paper bag, and it pulled a lot of that cosmoline out of the wood. And then I just oiled it down with boiled linseed oil. I haven't really done anything to the finish on it, but it's in pretty good shape. So anyway, I finagled that barrel, the upper wood out. I just kind of slid it backwards once I got this.
Pull it
this
down
barrel
a
band.
little bit. Thank you. There you go.
And then so
yeah,
here's the wood.
Yeah, move the wood out of the way. You can see what you're doing.
Yeah, so it goes over there. And then now I'm going to take the action out of the gun. So I'm going to get a big fat screwdriver here. And once again, I always preach about the correct screwdrivers. These are hollow ground screwdrivers. Highly recommend them. I don't recommend you work on guns without them. They will damage. The other type will damage the wedge-shaped one. So you can see right here how it's kind of spooned out, and it's a consistent thickness all the way up here. And that's to keep it from spinning out of a screw slot. It gives you more. All right, so I'm gonna try to do this delicately without bumping the camera. So there's a screw down here that comes out right here. Looks like that. And then there's a little screw back here on the trigger, and that comes out. And I'll show you what happened, what it looks like when you use the incorrect screwdriver. This screw is a really good example of it. I need to pull it out and try to fix it as much as I can. But if you can see the way the head is just all chewed up, where the screwdriver tip is popped out, that's what happens. That's what they look like if you don't use the right one. So now, once that screw is out, you can then just slide this piece off. Okay, let's set that aside. Yeah. So once that piece is removed, we can then take this lower wood off and get this out of here. These barrel bands are caused. There we go. I think Ed's right. Everything is sort of expanded in the humidity here. But all right, now there we go. Okay, so the lower wood has come off. And you can see how kind of dark it is down in here where that cosmoline is soaked into everything. I'm going to set this aside up here. And so now we have our barreled action right here. And you can also take the buttstock off, but there's a long screw if you right here, this trap door, you can open that, go in there with a long standard screwdriver and unscrew the really long screw, and the buttstock will come off the gun. So that's oh, and then the safety. I wanted to show Ed the safety. He's got a problem. I think you had a problem with yours, correct?
I did. It flips forward every time you fire it.
Okay, so I'm going to take the safety mechanism off so that Ed can take a look and see what it looks like. There's just one screw right here. And so a little screw like that. And then, so this is what your safety mechanism looks like right here. So I'm guessing that maybe one or more of the pieces on yours are worn, but this just screws on and off like that, this arm. So just like that. So that's the safety mechanism. You might be able to just get down in there and clean it really well. And maybe there's some gunk in there that's causing it to maybe not seat correctly. Or I'm trying to think of what else could go wrong with these. There's really not much to
what approximate diameter is that screwdriver? Just
the screwdriver?
Yeah, the one you used.
It's maybe 1/4 inch.
Okay, I'll give it a try. Yeah, I've done nothing to it. So
when this goes back together, you have this little foot right here on, let's see if I can get it to show up. You have a little foot right there that drops into the hole here. And there's only one way to put this thing back together, so you're not going to screw it up. And the nice thing is there's no springs to go flying. So it's not terribly hard to put back together. So let's see here as I fumble with it. I'm doing this upside down too, which is really fun. So there we go. That drops right back in there. Get this where I can show you. So it just drops right back in here. And it just moves forward and back like that. Okay, and then you'll notice here on this piece, we can get it to show up. You'll see the little white, it looks like a white line. It's actually silver. That's a raised piece right there that corresponds to 2 little notches right here and here. So when it's in safe or fire, it's like a little detent. You'll feel it drop into one of those notches. So let's see here. Hold on, let me get this back out of there for a second. Yeah, what did I do wrong here? All right. Anyway, but I'm sure you can pick up all of the pieces to rebuild the safety, probably on Liberty Tree Collectors or Jack First, or one of those places would have all these pieces. There's millions of these rifles in circulation, so it's not too tough. Let's see here. I got this screwed up somehow. It's been a while. This needs to go back up here. Why it doesn't go like that? I think it goes on this side.
You're mumbling, sir.
Yeah, I know.
At this point, the
know
old
I am.
radio people are saying, dead air, dead air, dead air.
Yeah, I know. The hell with them. All right, I'm trying to feel it drop in to that. Where that I want to feel these detents working and make sure I got it placed correctly. This one's pretty worn, so it doesn't have quite the same tactile feel that a newer one would. But so you can also play around a little bit with the tension on this screw right here to maybe mitigate your problem. So I'm going to screw that down just a little bit more. But there we go. So that's how your safety works. That's all there is to taking it apart. It's pretty straightforward. But when you get it to this point, I've never taken this trigger apart. I haven't had a reason to. I would really hate to have to try to compress that spring and put this thing back together. And everything, as you can see, looks pretty good in there. I cleaned it with some non-chlorinated brake cleaner and a nylon brush and just scrubbed the heck out of it, top and bottom. And that stuff won't damage the finish. These guns, when they were made, had a black enamel finish on them that was pretty durable. This gun has none of it left. You'll see little remnants of it here and there, but it's virtually just bare metal now. So it was probably finished with something different, being a Lend-Lease gun and made here in the US instead of Great Britain. I'm not sure. But that's really all there is to taking one of these things apart. They're pretty straightforward guns, as they were meant to be, because they were weapons of war, needed to be pretty easy to work on. So we're going to go ahead and put it back together now, and I'm going to feed this wood back into place so it kind of fits down over this trigger like that. See there? Now I got to get these barrel bands. I'm going to see if I can do this where you can see that I have these two barrel bands right here. I need to get out of my way. And it's on there. Okay. Then I can feed my bands back up into place. Yeah, let me turn it around up here. That. So I want that screw on the bottom, and then I can take this other band. Same thing. Move that into place. Then I'm going to take my top wood and I'm going to put it in place. And you'll notice up here, we have this little ring right here, and it's got a recess in it that corresponds to the recess here on this piece of top wood. So I don't know if I can get it to show up, but you'll see that little bench there. That slides into here, and that's what holds it in the back. So that slides into place. Give it a little tap. And just make sure it's nice and snug in there. Okay. There we go. So it should be no gap there. And then from here, I'm going to feed my, let's get this out. Feed my other top piece in. This one's, I'm blocking that with my hand. Notice I'm using the nylon to end of this hammer. I don't want to damage the wood too much. There we go. Well, I don't want to damage it at all, but I got to get this thing out of my way. This one's being difficult. Let's see, maybe I can Why you like this today? Get this off there. Try to get myself some more room. Hold on a second. I'm trying to keep it in camera, but I have a really small workspace here. This is what happens when I go camping and try to do redneck gun shows. My brother's son, I was packing up and he was like, "Is that a gun?" Yeah. It's then questioning where we're going camping, where you need an infantry rifle. Oh, come on, drop into place, piece of wood. Not sure why this is being so difficult today. I think it's this band has got to get out of my way. All right, let's get this out of here. How long have you had yours, Ed?
How long have I had mine? What year is this?
21?
I think I got mine around 2012, 2013, maybe.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'd have to look at the book.
Yeah, this is the Milsurp that I've had the longest. I bought this in probably 91.
Oh, yeah,
back
no,
in the
mine's much newer to me than that. I bought mine during the first Obama ammo blackouts.
Yeah.
Which is how I
then
led me to learn how to reload because I couldn't find any ammunition for it.
Yeah, I got this one back in the golden age of Milsurps. Not sure why this is being so difficult today.
That said, it still only cost me, I think, $250.
Yeah, that which is, they're going for $400 and $500 now. I've seen people asking that much for sporterized Enfields. Not sure why this barrel band doesn't want to move here. Just turn it. There we go. Get a little bit out of my way. There we go. All right. Now we can pound this back in delicately.
So with
it's normally not this difficult.
Wood, if you tap that too hard, are you gonna shatter it?
No, I'm just tapping it very lightly with the nylon end of this. There we go. So now it fell back in place. I can put my band back together. This piece is going to go right back on. Let's see here. So we're going to just get it lined up with the screw head where it goes together. Let's see, maybe this way. All right. Okay. Now I'm going to put my screw back through it. Is that the one?
I do have a question for the audience, not for you, Scott. What percentage do you log in to see if Mike or if Scott has to hit it with a hammer? Feel free to answer in the comments.
Yeah, what guns should I beat up with a hammer? Trying to get this. Why does this not want to go? Anyway, well, we'll put this back together. Yeah, I'm running out of my own guns that are interesting. I'm trying to think of what else I got that might be of interest to somebody to take apart, or just. Yeah, let's see. There we go. Now I'm going to screw this back down.
Yeah, it's probably about time for us to get back to some basic stuff.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, we got a lot of new.
Time to buy some new stuff.
Yeah.
Scott,
Well,
we should have videotaped you doing the trigger on the P10.
yeah, that would have been a good one. Well, I could maybe do that trigger on my 320, you know, where we did that to yours.
Yeah, the flat trigger.
At the wrong screw. Yeah, we put a new trigger. Oh, this one goes back here. We put a new trigger spring in Lonnie's gun when he was up here. And if you've never done one on a 320, it's not terribly hard. It's just a really weird place to, or you have to twist the screw at really strange angles to get it to go into place. Let's see here.
We're getting a little fuzzy on the video. You can't do anything about it, but just go a little slow if you can.
All right. Drop back in there.
While you're at it and struggling with that, is there any reason to actually ever take the buttstock off?
No, unless I did it because I wanted to try to get as much cosmoline out of this gap right here as I could. But unless it's damaged or something, I can't really think of a reason you'd take it off except to replace it. So now I got to get that all lined up perfectly. But now, if you were refinishing the gun, maybe you want to take it off. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I did it on that Winchester because I wanted to boil all the parts. You know, rust blew it, so I had to take it off. But inside here is, when you take this apart, there's a long screw and then there's kind of like a felt washer on it. So don't lose that piece. I don't know how important it is, but to keep it authentic, I think I would make it a point of keeping that piece. All right. So now this big flat screw goes in here. And change my screw tip out. And if you have a number 1, 2, or 3 Enfield, they're very, very similar. The bolt comes out slightly differently. That's one of the things they did to the Mark IV to make it, I think from a manufacturing standpoint, it made it easier to manufacture, quicker to machine, is my understanding. I don't think it had any real strategic value otherwise. So let me get this screw back in there today. So I'm going to squeeze this a little bit. Oops. So no questions. Does that mean nobody's watching? Is that what I'm doing?
No, people are watching. There's been a whole lot of questions. Although Rita has wondered if she'd be willing to work on her Tanfoglio Giuseppe, because she can't figure out how to take it apart.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. Where is she located?
I was just wondering that myself.
Well, you are an FFL 07, right? So all she's got to do is get it to you
Just got to mail it to him.
by appropriately legal means, and she's got to
She's
take it apart and make
Yeah.
fun of you on video. Or
She's
we'll
in
make fun of Scott on video.
South Central Pennsylvania.
I don't make any. Yeah, I would happily send you my FFL information, and for the cost of shipping, just send it out and I will do what needs to get done and get it back to you. Well, it is. Why did you?
Scott's FFL business outstanding.
We could, I mean, if you need a trigger, you know, you can send the trigger parts that you want, or I can order them and install them, for you, however you want to do it. And yeah, we could do a video on it. You could make your gun famous, at least amongst the
internet famous amongst the 15,000 people that are watching us right now. I have a question that came from the chat just now, mostly because I want to hear what you think the answer is. Is it safe to say that these weren't really meant to be field stripped? And I guess the question is, what constitutes field stripping in this particular gun?
I think that would mean just pulling the bolt out and the magazine, and then just cleaning the receiver, the action in it. I don't think much beyond that. I mean, an armorer may have taken them down to this point in the war to refurbish them or to fix something, but I really don't think that there was much else to be done with them.
Otherwise, they were meant to be run until they were done, right?
Yeah. They testament to how good they are. There's a lot of them around, and they are really nice shooting rifles. It's kind of a weird caliber now. They used to be, when I bought mine, you could buy a whole bandolier of ammo for them for $5 and, go shoot the thing all weekend for very little money. But that's changed. And now there is still some surplus ammo that shows up, but it isn't much cheaper than factory ammo. So
I had to reload it when I bought mine.
They're not, but the round itself is an odd one. It's a British 303, and it is a rimmed cartridge, and it has about the same power to it that, say, a 30-06. It's a pretty good round. A lot of people use these for hunting after the war. They bought them surplus and hunted with them.
I'd say anecdotally, it's a little less
Right,
risky than my Grand. Doesn't push back on the shoulder quite so vigorously as the Grand does.
So one more question
Yeah.
with that, which is it possible to replace the stocks on those? Or does it require a lot of
Yeah. It might require a lot of fitting, or a little bit of fitting. I can't imagine that there's a whole lot of variability. You might have to fit it slightly, but it was a production gun, so they had to be fairly interchangeable. And I've seen a lot of these. People have rescued them, desporterized them, and put old wood back on it. And I've seen like blonde handguards and dark, bottom wood. I've seen, mixed matched furniture on these things. So it can be done. I don't imagine it's too terribly hard. If you have one that's been sporterized, they're worth saving, but as long as the receiver hasn't been messed with, as long as somebody hasn't ground off the peep sights or, done something, a lot of people will do weird things to these to put scopes on them. And then the other part is if the front sight has been ground off, it's probably not worth saving, because it would never look right after that, and you wouldn't have any front sight. But if the action's unmolested and the barrel has been left alone, you can find wood for these. It's not as easy to find as a lot of guns, but it's out there. You can also find it on eBay, or you could buy some non-functional old beater guns, parade guns and things like that, and salvage the wood off of those. So to put the bolt back in, we're going to have it aligned like this. So this piece is aligned right here. We're going to slide it back in. I got to open this up. Hold on a second. Just gun just wants to fight me every bit of the way today. Yeah, that offer goes to anybody that wants to send me a gun and something done to it. As long as I can film it, I'd be happy to try to do what I can. But why is this bolt being so difficult today? Why are you doing this to me?
Lonnie, I think I know the answer to that question about the next question you got added.
The comparison of the 7.62 to 5x5.4.
Yeah, it depends a little bit on which Mosin. But I would rate, in my experience, the Enfield is the lightest oomphy. I'd say the Grand is next. I'd say the German 8mm. If you got a K98, that's probably oomfier. And then the Mosin has got the most shoulder bruising capability of all of the World War II guns that I own. And the shorter the Mosin, like a Chinese Type 54, the oomfier it gets. That Russian cartridge is almost. I don't have a. I used to have a picture of it. It's a good, I don't know, 6-7% longer than all the others. So it's got more powder.
The
It's got a heavier bullet.
7.62.
Yeah, 7.62.
7.62. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big.
It's a
big
fun
round.
It's a big fire breather too. It's just fun.
Yeah, it doesn't. The Enfield's stout, but it's a heavy rifle. The Mosin that I have is a full length, all of 54 inches or something stupid like that. It's heavy for what it is, but it isn't as heavy as the Enfield because of the wood they use, and it's got a bigger bullet, so it's a bigger round rather. So it feels from anecdotally, it feels like that's the stoutest round I own.
So once this bolt is back in, you're going to push it forward with your thumb right here. You'll see it spring loaded. You'll drop that back down and it'll drop into the little channel that's carved into here. So once it's in there, now it won't come back out. So you can see. And this gun is interesting in that it cocks on close. So when you close, you'll see back here, as I close it, the gun cocks. So now you can decock it by pulling back and holding the trigger and letting it drop, but I don't recommend doing that. It's got a pretty powerful spring in there. And if you were to slip, you're going to put a round, in my case, through the side of my trailer and then through the campground. It would make me very unpopular. But anyway, that is it. That's the 303 British Enfield number 4 Mark I. And that's how you take them apart to, if you had one in Cosmoline, that's how I would take it apart to clean it. And yeah, and Lonnie, another reason you might want to take the stock off is if you're cleaning this thing of Cosmoline and you're using some caustic chemical like brake cleaner or something, you might not want to get that on the wood and damage the finish. So that would be another reason to take that off.
Or you can do what I did and buy one that was already cleaned with Cosmoline.
Yeah. Magazine back in.
I have one more question specifically to the magazine in and out. Those guns were not meant to have spare mags, were they?
No, they didn't carry. They weren't. They were meant to be loaded off stripper clips straight through the top, not taken out of the gun and pitched aside and loaded with a fresh one like a modern AK or AR. Yeah, these. None of these old first magazine guns were meant to have a disposable magazine or they didn't carry spare magazines. So right here, you'll notice that there's a little cutout.
Stripper guide.
Right up here. That's the guide where the stripper clip drops in. And
When
you
I
just
first
press down on it.
bought mine, I didn't even know the magazine came out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, these magazines, the original magazines, are getting hard to find. They make reproductions. I've never run one, so I don't know how well they work. But these are like SKS mags. A lot of people, for whatever reason, took them out, and they're hard to find. So if you find one, a gun without the magazine, just be aware that it's going to take you a little while and a few bucks. They go for $50-$60 for these old mags, but not impossible. They're out there.
All the
And
other
I
World War
don't
II guns
think-
to that era, the magazines were fixed. You couldn't take them out.
Yeah. And I don't think they're interchangeable. I had Cole's Indian Ishapur on my bench a couple of weeks ago, and the bolt was slightly different and the magazine was different. So I don't think they're interchangeable between different models. I could be wrong, but that
that's
was
a
my
good thing.
experience with it.
That's a good question. I don't know if they are either. I think you might be able to do them between number 4s, but not like, number 1s or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I'm sorry, Mark.
anyway, unless
Whatever. Mark,
if there are any more questions, I'd be happy to answer more questions, or that's pretty much all I got to offer.
I think that's pretty good. I know we're 20
Just
minutes
one
past
more.
the hour.
One
Got one
more.
more?
Were there?
Yeah.
Were there any major differences between the number 4 and the 1 in terms of performance or functionality?
Not really. They're the same gun for all intents and purposes. The way the bolt comes out was changed. This setup was used in World War World War II at the beginning of the war to just expedite the manufacturing process. I think the sights were improved over time. The wood was different. The wood used to shroud the whole barrel. There wasn't the open end of the barrel like there is on this one. But I don't think there's a heck of a lot of difference. I don't think you would notice much difference shooting the two. I think accuracy and reliability would be about the same. There's very little real.
Were the stocks the Mannlicher style in the originals?
I don't know what you'd call it, but the wood came all the way out to the end of the barrel, and it wasn't set up the same way. So that wood would not, of course, be interchangeable with the later models. They're heavy though. They're all of that extra wood on there makes them pretty chunky. This gun isn't light, but the Ishapur that I worked on was pretty heavy. But I took it apart completely and cleaned it inside and out, and it wasn't a whole lot of different. There's a little weird saddle piece that goes under here. The front sight is moved forward on the Ishapur. It's up here. It goes together slightly differently, but really not enough to be that significant. If you've worked on one of these, you could easily take one of those apart. It would be pretty familiar to you.
And I think that was the last question.
All right. All right.
So I have no idea what we're doing next week, unless you remember. In which case,
I don't recall, but I'll think of something.
I
did
think
buy that.
Danny's been trying to make sure that we got stuff scheduled a week in advance, at least.
Yeah.
So if we don't know what we're doing next week, and neither of us do, you make sure you pay attention to the club website, liberalgunclub.com. Click on membership, and then make sure you're logged in, which means you need to be a member, and then click on events, and you see the upcoming events, and you'll see events from everywhere, not just Scott. There are club events for different chapters that are on the schedule, and as a member, you're welcome to join any of them. But it's this is the Tuesday night social distance learning, so if you want to participate in this, make sure you go out there, click the link, sign up for next week, and come join and ask questions.
I've got
you're done.
I got a couple of ideas. I have my 320, and we could take it apart and talk a little bit about it. It's a pretty straightforward gun. Talk about the interchangeability, and it's a new gun. Talk about replacing that spring. Or the other option is we could go the other way, and I have that near perfect 1880s Smith & Wesson 32 lemon squeezer that we could do as well.
As a friend of mine said, every time I look at the club page, it's all about these old guns that I don't give a crap about. So maybe we go for new.
Okay.
Let's do new.
All right.
So
I'll
if
do
that's
the
not already been-
320.
Yeah, let's do a
You-
620.
You still have that,
Okay.
that 75 tactical that your friend?
Well, we can figure out. What he
Oh,
does.
no.
We
No,
can
not
figure out what
the
he does.
CZ.
All right, we'll figure out what he does after we kill the stream.
All right, cool.
All right.
On that notion, thank you folks for showing up.
Flintlock.
And yeah, somebody said, "What about a flintlock?" That's
Yeah.
funny, Mark. Thanks for showing up. If you're not a member of the club, you should join. Then you can come and ask questions like Mark just asked, because that was irritating and silly, but funny at the same time. And that's the best way to get your questions answered, is to come here to the Zoom. We'll see you guys next week, and it's, as always, a lot of fun, and it's as much fun to watch Scott struggle with either technology or a hammer as it is anything else.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I struggle so you don't have to.
You struggle so we don't have to. And on that note, I'm stopping
Yeah.
the stream. Good night, everybody.